The most dangerous thing you'll ever do is nothing. You know what nobody prepares you for when it comes to domestic violence? It's not the first slap, it's not even the bruises you learn to cover with makeup or the excuses you rehearse in the mirror. The most dangerous moment is the one where you decide to stay. Because staying isn't passive, staying is an active decision that compounds every single day, like interest on a debt you never agreed to, until one morning you wake up and you don't even recognize the hollow eyed stranger staring back at you. I recently had the profound honor of sitting down with Carolyn Thomas, a woman who didn't just survive domestic violence, she weaponized her survival into a full scale movement. Carolyn is the founder of Voices for All, the Carolyn Thomas Foundation, also known as the Woman Without a Face. And she's out here doing the sacred, relentless work that saves lives, rebuilds shattered communities, and amplifies the voices of women society tried to silence. Her story, her wisdom, her unflinching honesty, that's the foundation of what we're unpacking today. And I'm telling you right now, what Carolyn shared isn't just important, it's the kind of truth that rewires your entire understanding of love, power, and survival. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why staying in a domestic violence relationship isn't just risky, it's a slow, deliberate poison that erodes your power, your peace, and your future, one manipulation at a time. Here's the first truth Carolyn wants you to internalize: the cycle traps you deeper. Those emotional manipulations, those intermittent good times when they bring you flowers and whisper apologies, they're not accidents, they're design features. The abuser knows exactly what they're doing when they cry and promise it'll never happen again. When they give you just enough tenderness to make you question whether you're overreacting, whether you're being too sensitive, whether you're the problem, that's the hook. That's the trap. And it's engineered with surgical precision to keep you stuck, to keep you second guessing your own reality, to keep you believing that if you just love them harder, if you just try a little more, things will magically change. Spoiler alert, they won't. Because here's what the cycle does: it normalizes the chaos. It makes you think that love is supposed to hurt sometimes, that relationships require sacrifice, that you're being dramatic for wanting basic respect and safety. And before you know it, you're not just surviving the abuse, you're defending it. You're making excuses for it. You're telling your friends and family that he's just stressed, that she's going through a lot, that it's not that bad, that you've seen worse, but it is that bad. And Carolyn's work with Voices for All proves it every single day. The second truth: silence fuels the violence. When you don't speak up, when you keep the abuse locked behind closed doors, you're not just protecting yourself from judgment or embarrassment, you're allowing the abuse to spread unchecked. You're teaching your children that this is what love looks like. You're signaling to your community that this behavior is tolerable, acceptable, even. And you're giving the abuser permission to keep going, because if nobody's calling it out, why on earth would they stop? Carolyn understands this on a cellular level. That's why she built an entire foundation around giving women a voice, because she knows that silence is the abuser's best friend. Silence keeps the cycle spinning. Silence keeps the statistics climbing. And silence keeps Black women, in particular, trapped in a system that already undervalues their pain, dismisses their trauma, and questions their credibility. Let me hit you with some numbers, because this isn't abstract theory. Black women face domestic violence at rates 35% higher than the national average. One in four Black women will experience severe physical violence from an intimate partner in their lifetime. And here's the part that should make your blood run cold: homicide is the leading cause of death for Black women aged 30 to 44 in abusive relationships. Read that again: homicide, leading cause of death. So when we talk about staying, we're not talking about a bad relationship or a rough patch. We're talking about life and death. We're talking about whether you'll be here next year, to see your children grow up, to pursue your dreams, to experience the peace you deserve. Now, the third truth Carolyn wants seared into your consciousness: breaking free builds legacy. Escaping isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning. It's the spark that ignites purpose, that transforms survival into a movement, that turns your pain into power for the next woman who's still trapped, still hoping, still dying a little more each day. Look at Carolyn. She didn't just leave, she built voices for all. She became the woman without a face, a living symbol of resilience and reclamation for every woman who's ever felt invisible in her own life, erased in her own story. She's out here changing laws, funding shelters, creating safe space for women to heal, to breathe, to remember who they were before the violence rewrote their identity. That's what breaking free can do. That's the legacy you build when you choose yourself, when you say enough, when you walk through that door, even though your hands are shaking and you have no idea what's on the other side. And she's not alone. Let's talk about three other Black women who exposed the deadly seriousness of staying, women whose stories should be etched into our collective memory, whose courage should fuel our own. First, Rihanna. Yes, that Rihanna, global icon, billionaire entrepreneur, Barbadian queen who seems untouchable. In 2009, on the night before the Grammys, her then partner Chris Brown attacked her in a car, fracturing her face and leaving her bloodied, broken, and traumatized. The photos leaked. The world saw. And the pressure to stay silent, to reconcile for the sake of their images, their careers, their brands, that pressure was immense, suffocating. But Rihanna broke that silence. She spoke out. She sought therapy. She leveraged her massive platform to advocate for women's safety, to fund shelters, to create resources. She ended the relationship and went on to launch the Clara Lionel Foundation, which supports survivors globally and funds domestic violence programs. Her courage sparked the hashtag Why I Stayed, which gave millions of women permission to tell their own stories without shame, without apology, without fear of judgment. Rihanna didn't just survive, she shifted the entire culture. She made it okay to talk about abuse in high achieving, high profile spaces. She proved that even the most successful, most beautiful, most powerful women can be trapped. And that breaking free is always, always the right choice, no matter how scary it feels in the moment. Then there's Faye Yeager, a Black activist who survived decades of systemic domestic violence in the 1980s and 90s in the US South. After her own brutal beating and a devastating custody loss, Faye uncovered an underground network, a literal baby mafia that profited from abused children, that exploited their trauma for financial gain. So, what did she do? She didn't just walk away. She built secret safe houses. She documented survivor stories with meticulous care. She lobbied for policy changes. She rescued over 500 children and shifted child custody laws to favor survivors instead of abusers. Faye pioneered Black led domestic violence networks that influence organizations like Carolyn's Voices for All today. She didn't just escape, she created an entire underground railroad for women and children who had nowhere else to turn, who had been abandoned by every system that was supposed to protect them. And then there's Tina Turner, the queen herself. Tina endured 16 years of brutal physical and psychological abuse from Ike Turner, starting when she was just 16 years old. He controlled her finances. He did. He beat her with hangers and wire. He kept her trapped with threats of industry blackballing, with manipulation, with fear. In the 1970s, she attempted suicide to escape, but she didn't die. She divorced. She rebuilt her solo career from absolute scratch. She authored her memoir, I, Tina, laying bare the horror she survived. She sold over 200 million records, won 12 Grammys, and became the highest paid female rocker in history. Tina's story destigmatized domestic violence in Black entertainment and inspired countless foundations, including Carolyn's. These women didn't just survive, they thrived, they built legacies, they changed the world. They turned their trauma into triumph, their pain into purpose, their silence into a roar that still echoes today. But here's the thing, they all had to leave first. They all had to choose themselves. They all had to say no to the cycle, no to the silence, no to the trap, no to the lie that things would get better if they just waited a little longer. And that's what Carolyn Thomas is asking you to do today. That's what I'm asking you to do today. Because staying isn't neutral. Staying is choosing the poison over the antidote. Staying is teaching your children that love is supposed to hurt. Staying is betting your life on a person who's already shown you they don't value it, who's already demonstrated that your safety, your dignity, your very existence is negotiable. And I get it. Leaving is terrifying. Leaving means facing the unknown. Leaving means admitting that the person you loved, the person you built a life with, is dangerous. Leaving means starting over, often with nothing. Leaving means risking retaliation, financial instability, judgment from your community, whispers behind your back. But staying means risking everything, your health, your sanity, your children's well being, your life. So here's the challenge I'm issuing today. And I want you to take this seriously, not as a suggestion, but as a mandate. Audit your relationships this week. No sugarcoating, no excuses. No, well, it's not that bad compared to what I've seen. Look at the red flags, look at the patterns, look at the moments when you felt small, scared, silenced, or like you were walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. And if you spot them, grab a trusted friend. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800 799 7233. Reach out to Voices for All, connect with a local shelter, make a plan. Take one step, even if it's the smallest step imaginable. Because your soft girl era, that season of rest, of peace, of choosing yourself without apology or explanation, it's waiting for you on the other side of that door. But you have to walk through it. You have to choose softness over survival mode. You have to choose your life over the lie that things will get better if you just stay a little longer, if you just love a little harder, if you just sacrifice a little more. Carolyn Thomas chose herself. Rihanna chose herself. Faye Yeager chose herself. Tina Turner chose herself. Now it's your turn. You deserve to wake up without fear coursing through your veins. You deserve to breathe without walking on eggshells. You deserve to build a legacy that isn't rooted in trauma, but in triumph, in joy, in the fullness of who you were always meant to be. You deserve your soft girl era, the one where you rest without guilt, where you heal without rushing, where you reclaim your identity piece by precious piece, where you say no without apology and yes to your own peace, your own power, your own life. And I know it's hard. I know it feels impossible. I know you're tired, bone deep tired, tired of fighting, tired of hoping, tired of surviving. But Carolyn's foundation exists because she knows you can do this. Voices for all exist because your voice matters, because your story matters, because your life matters. The woman without a face exists because even when you feel invisible, you are seen. Even when you feel forgotten, you are remembered. Even when you feel powerless, you hold more power than you can possibly imagine. So don't stay stuck. Don't let the cycle win. Don't let silence fuel the violence. Don't let fear make your decisions for you. Step into your power. Step into your softness. Step into your soft girl era. Step into the life that's been waiting for you, the life you've been too afraid to claim, the life that whispers your name in the quiet moments when you dare to dream. Because the most dangerous choice you'll ever make is staying, and the most powerful choice, that's leaving. That's choosing yourself. That's saying enough. That's walking through that door, even though you're terrified, even though you have no idea what's on the other side, even though every voice in your head is screaming at you to turn back. And on the other side of that choice is a life you can't even imagine yet. A life where you're free, a life where you're whole, a life where you're soft and strong and unapologetically, beautifully, powerfully you. Carolyn Thomas is living proof. Rihanna is living proof. Faye Yeager was living proof. Tina Turner was living proof. And so are you. Now go claim it. Go build it. Go live it. Because the world is waiting for the woman you're about to become. And she's magnificent.